Hi guys. Anyways, I wanted to take the time to update the 23andme. Um, I had done mine and my parents like maybe 2 years ago, and then my son because of an incident that he had at school, which he came home crying and sort of sad because basically his teacher that he had for 2 years decided to debate with Sandro what his background was. Because I'm racially ambiguous, I don't look Asian. But I actually think my son looks Asian. And you know what? Me, I mean, majority of my family does look Asian. I mean, I've been growing up all my life where, people keep constantly telling me you're adopted, your parents are lying to you. I even had, when I was small in school, a supply teacher, even though I raised my hand and said present, reported me as absent, and the school called my mom saying there's no little girl with an Asian last name in this class. My mom rushed to school, almost had a heart attack, and there I was in class. But the teacher had to apologize, the supply teacher. Um, in other incidences, even like when I was in high school, okay, when I was in high school, my sister's 4 years older than me. So they already knew my sister, they already knew my parents. And basically, my sister and my parents, they look Asian, so there's no question. When I started going to the school, all of a sudden, I was like taken out of the school, my classes. I had psychiatrists. They would ask me really bizarre questions like, "Do your parents like you? Do you get Christmas gifts? Do you have to share the same clothes that your sister? Do you get your sister's hand-me-downs? Did they buy you a new school uniform?" Oh, by the way, it was a private Catholic high school, so it had nuns, right? So you know what I mean? They would say like, "Yeah, of course I get gifts. Of course I get like what are you like? I'm not silly." They even had. I'm not joking you. At one point, because there was the nun who there was a nun there and a few teachers, mostly a few nuns. There were six. That's not including the psychiatrist. They had me. We called it the tower. Okay, like they used to take kids up in the tower and give them a psychiatrist to see when your parents had a divorce and stuff like that. They even I remember I was like, okay, this is bizarre. They gave me flashcard cards with ink dots and asked me what do I see. I'm like, in my head, okay, I just see ink dots. Let me splatter ink. I'm sorry, I don't know what you want me. And they were trying to force me to see something that I didn't see there. Um, till I just got really I remember one day I just got really upset at the whole thing and I said, you know what, goodbye, later. I walked out of class, out of school, called my parents. But you want to know something? Guess what? All of that stopped. A good lawyer makes it stop. As soon as I told my parents what was going on, um, and when they got their lawyer to contact the whatever the body of the school board, whatever you want to call it. Once the lawyer called them, trust me, all of that stopped. And they all passed it on to Sister Teresa, blaming her that it's Sister Teresa's fault. Okay, I'm not saying she wasn't part of it, but you want to know something? They were, there was more than one. They just sort of tossed her underneath the bus. But anyways, going forward, I don't want to, go off of what's occurring with my son. So this teacher for 2 years, right? She knows me. She knows my husband. It was Black History Month, right? Because I look more black than I look Asian or any other ethnicity. She decided to tell my son that he has to call himself African, Black African American. What? First of all, we don't even live in America. So I don't know what's wrong with her there because we don't live in America. Secondly, my son identifies and I identify myself as multicultural. Sorry if that offends anybody, but that's what I am. My sister's kids who look very similar to my kids, right? But my sister doesn't look like me. she's never had that issue. You know, nobody's ever forced her to identify with being any type of nationality because they believe she gets told she's either Filipino or Hispanic, so nobody forced her or her kids. So her kids look exactly like mine. My sister also identifies herself as multicultural, you know, because we have more than two. We're mixed with more than two backgrounds, so that's fair enough. But anyway, so she debated with him that no, you're lying. You know, you don't have Chinese. Your mom doesn't have Chinese, or else she would look Chinese. Well, that's not the case, right? And that's why part of like, you know, me getting the DNA and showing Sandro DNA. And even with like the DNA results, I've seen a few DNA results. It's like people who even have more African than me look 100% white. You can't tell. I mean, I think we're all human beings. You know, I'm sorry, we're all human beings. Um, and no, appearance doesn't tell you what your DNA is, plain and simple. But anyways, I'm gonna get back on to this. Okay, so this is mine. This is mine. And then we're all waiting here. And you know what? This new update, it's basically the same thing as the results as before. They just made it more colorful. So they made everybody get like, oh wow, we're adding more, whatever, more ethnicities. And it's like, no, it's really the same thing. It's just really pretty colors. I admit it's like really beautiful. It's pretty colors than it was before, but it's still the same information. And you might know something. There is nothing, even before I took, you know, the DNA test with me and my mom and my dad, right? Especially to prove to people who constantly tell me you're adopted. There's no way that's your family. Yeah, it's my family. Um, we all sent in our DNA different times. By the way, there was no questionnaire that connected us together or anything. And we've actually found family members that were like third and fourth cousins that after my mom spoke to them, um, she was able to connect, yeah, you know, we're relatives. I didn't even know my, we found a great niece, or sorry, yeah, a niece of my grandmother's, which I didn't even know my grandmother had two other half sisters. There you go. Anyways, so this is me. So East Asian Native American, 45.4%. That's the breakdown. And it, you know what? Even before taking the DNA test, guess what? There was like nothing shocking here. We actually already knew all of these. Like from my mom's side, we already knew all of these was in our family tree. My family's pretty good like that. They already knew. Okay. And let me show you, for example, I'll show you my dad's first and then my mom's and then Sandro's. Okay. So my dad, here it is. My dad is, when it comes to, well, we already do this, basically East Asian Native American, 61.7%. He's 52% Chinese, 2.6% South Asian. I'm not going to go through every single one, and because that would be very lengthy, right? And I don't feel like just going on. I think you would be bored if I did that. South Asian, we know we're Pakistani and we're Indian because my dad's mom, her mother, so my great grandmother was Pakistani and some Indian. My my great grandfather on my grandmother's side, he was a mix between who is it, Asian and black. I think there was thing, but yeah, that was his mix.